Hello, my name is Ozymandias12 and I'm here to give a quick spoiler review and explanation of the film Us. So if you haven't seen the movie and you want to see it without any spoilers, don't watch this, go watch it, come back, and I'll tell you what it's all about. Alright, first of all, this film is all about Republicans. Yes, it's about the politics of the USA under the Trump era. And basically, Lupita Nyong'o's family is very liberal. They're the ones on top, and they are taken over and hunted down by their doppelgangers who are dressed in red. And this is all across the country, but basically it's about the Republicans coming to attack the liberals. Now you're saying, why are they Republicans? Well, it's given away in many ways because this film is all about symbolism, about metaphors and similes. So the first thing that gives it away is the red jackets or the red suits that they wear. Basically, red is the same color of Republicans, Republican states, kind of conservatives, all that kind of thinking, which is what Trump is. He's a Republican. This is kind of a fear story, a horror story that the Republicans are taking over. Now, it says that they're from below. They're kind of being treated like second-class citizens. That's always been a metaphor and a phrase that they've used. They've said that the government has kind of been putting down on them and that they feel like second-rate citizens. And now it's time for them to be on top and basically be in control, have the government in their favor. So that's one thing about the color red. I would say also that they call themselves, they say we are Americans. From the South, a lot of the South is Republican, red-controlled states. They kind of do at times refer to them as Americans. We're Americans, whereas the other people say we are from the US. Also, what kind of gives away, and it's very derogative towards these red characters. They can't talk. And that might be a suggestion that they haven't had a voice for a while. And now Lupita Nyong'o's character kind of takes over, does have a voice, and she might somewhat be representing Trump in a way. But most of them feel that they didn't have a voice, and that's why they kind of moan and go, "Arr!" And that might even be kind of playing on their accent down south, because the very south, it's very droll, very different. I haven't figured out what the scissors are about, but that might be to do with cutting, severing something. And that's another thing, because they're below everyone and they're tethered, they're somewhat thinking the same way. It's kind of the two sides of the same coin, two sides of America, and that because they're south, they're below, might be because that's where a lot of the red states are. Just top some buttons. There's a lot about class in this, but I think it's more about the underdog. I think a lot of liberals think of Republicans and conservatives as being quite dumb, and that's how Trump was elected. And I think it kind of puts that on them, is that they're always trying to be very envious of the liberals. They want to be like them. So Jordan Peele is pretty heavy-handed in there, saying, these are the nice people and these are the bad people. The rabbits, haven't figured out quite what the rabbits are. Maybe it's because they're multiplying. They're growing fast in number, and also might be a reference to Alice in Wonderland, tumbling down the rabbit hole. The further you go, the weirder it gets, kind of thing. The Hands Across America reference is a very stupid way of saying that Republicans are taking over the country. They're connecting from one end to the other. They're covering the whole place. It's just another reference that's what their end game is, to take over everything. Once again, kind of a bit extreme in that view, but a little paranoid, but that's basically the idea I've got from it. It's obviously referenced at the very start in some reference to 1986. I'm not too sure what happened in 1986, but there might be something that happened there. But basically, Hands Across America is a heavy-handed way of saying that the Republicans are trying to go over, because that's what they do. At the very end of it, once they've killed their doppelganger, they go and they stand in line, and that's it. Many references to 11:11. I think there's Jeremiah 11:11, which is a Bible verse, which basically seems it's kind of something unescapable. It's an unescapable situation that you are going to perish or fall into this thing. I'm not saying, I think he's saying that this was always going to happen for some reason. Another reason why this film is about Republicans and politics, I think, is given in the what the daughter says at the very start in the car. She says that the government is trying to control people through fluoride, and everyone ignores her. And she says, "Well, that's how they get away with it." Or people always ignore things about the end of the world. And it's kind of saying to liberals, like, you've got to pay attention to this. We've got to do something because this thing's going to uprise up against us. It's probably already happening, and we didn't have any control over it. Another reference is that it is a government-controlled plan to put them all low, and as stupid as that all is, and as stupid as that scene about them tethering and how it doesn't make any sense at all. It's basically about the government putting them down and them rising up against the government. Also, the word in the title, I don't think anyone's pointed this out, but us also means, you separate the two letters, it's US, it's the US of A. So us is basically talking about America. I think there's another thing, there's a twist where Lupita Nyong'o's character is actually one of them at the very end. I personally don't think this twist worked. We already knew the character from start to finish. We sympathise with her, so even if she is part of the other team, it didn't really make me go, oh my god. It just kind of made me go, oh really? All right. Maybe that's a kind of a get out of jail for free card for Jordan Peele in case everyone tapped into this Republican view. I think he thought he would get a whole lot more backlash than he did. But he can always go, well, the main character was somewhat Republican, so, it's kind of for them. So, I don't know, I just don't think it worked, and I think that's the only reason he could possibly put it in, maybe to surprise people. But, on the whole, I didn't think this film was really that smart, or as smart as it thinks it is. I think Jordan Peele got a lot of praise for Get Out, and I did enjoy Get Out. I didn't think it was a great film. I thought it was just a very interesting film. But I think this film shows just how far, he can go as a director. I think he can come up with an interesting idea, and he can create some suspense, but I think a lot of it is done through the sound editing, the sound mixing. I don't think all the scenes were that well directed. I think he shines sparingly, but I don't think he's as good as everyone says, and I think this is just the start of people going, okay, you're a bit of a one-trick pony. He's doing the Twilight Zone series, which this kind of subject matter does work in his favor, but I think there is a finite quality to his talents, and I'd like to see something a bit more interesting next time. Maybe not in this same kind of horror metaphor genre he's going for, whatever it is. But anyway, in the end, I think Us is a comment on the Trump era. It is somewhat of a paranoid warning to liberals and Democrats that there's all these conservatives and Republican right-wing people, and it's like, oh, they're rising up against us, and we've all got to be careful and be aware. I don't think everyone's getting that message. I think people, because it's not a great film, aren't talking about it as much. I think this will be forgotten in about a week. Just because if you're going to make a film with a big message, you're going to make sure the film's good, because otherwise no one cares. If it's a really good film, it gets people coming back to it and talking about it again. This is like, oh, okay, he's tried to do this, and I didn't really care about it. But yeah, I think it's a very mediocre film. That's about it. I give it about 2.5 out of 5. That's it. Bye.